bus was already half full when I climbed on, cradling my tote bag against my chest like a shield. It was a Sunday evening route headed out of the city, the kind of long-haul bus where no one wants to make eye contact, where everyone just wants to vanish into their headphones or phones until their stop. The fluorescent lights overhead hummed softly, and the faint smell of stale coffee lingered in the air. I chose a seat near the back, on the window side. I liked having something solid beside me. The aisle felt too open, too exposed. I put my earbuds in, even though they weren't playing anything, just to discourage conversation. It was dark outside, nothing but streaks of trees and distant highway lights rushing past. Then he got on. I noticed him right away because he didn't seem to fit. Everyone else shuffled on quickly and quietly, but he took his time. He stood at the front like he owned the place, scanning the rows of passengers. His gaze crawled over each of us until it landed on me. He smiled. Not a polite smile. Something else. Something stretched too wide, like he just found something he wanted. He walked down the aisle slowly, deliberately. I looked away, out the window, pretending not to see him, but I could feel his presence creeping closer, step by step. He sat in the aisle seat right next to me. There were empty seats everywhere, but he chose mine. "Hey there," he said, his voice low and raspy. I nodded faintly, hoping that would be enough, hoping he'd leave it at that. "What's your name?" I kept my eyes on the window. "I'd rather not talk, sorry." "That's okay," he said easily, too easily. "I'll guess." He leaned closer, his shoulder almost brushing mine. I caught the smell of him, old sweat and something sour like spoiled milk. "You look like a Melissa? No? Maybe a Claire, or something pretty. Pretty names for pretty girls." I stiffened. He grinned at my reaction. "Are you going home, Melissa, not Claire?" he asked. "Or are you running away from something?" I glanced toward the front of the bus. The driver was focused on the road. Everyone else seemed lost in their own worlds. No one was paying attention. "I don't want to talk," I said more firmly. "Oh, I think you do," he murmured. He stretched his legs into the aisle and turned fully toward me. His knees almost boxed me in. "Do you live alone?" he asked. I froze. He smiled again, slow and knowing. "You look like someone who lives alone. One toothbrush, one pillow on the bed, no one waiting for you." My heart started to race. "Stop talking to me," I said, barely louder than a whisper. He chuckled. "You sound scared." I reached for my phone, pretending to scroll, hoping he'd lose interest if I ignored him. But he kept going. "Do you lock your windows at night? What about your door? You should. Sometimes people forget, then bad things happen." I could feel the panic rising like a tide. The bus felt smaller, hotter, claustrophobic. I considered standing up and moving, but the aisle was narrow, and he was blocking it with his knees. "You don't wear a ring," he said softly. "No boyfriend, no husband, no one who would miss you if you just disappeared." I swallowed hard. My mouth was dry. He tilted his head. "You're trembling." "Please stop," I whispered. He leaned closer, his breath hot on my ear. "Why? I like watching you squirm." Something inside me snapped. I bolted up, clutching my tote bag, but his hand shot out and grabbed my wrist. "Sit down," he hissed. I yanked, but his grip was like iron. My chair rattled against the window. The woman across the aisle glanced over. Our eyes met. I silently begged her to do something. The man's face split into that same too-wide smile. "Just kidding," he said loudly, releasing me suddenly like it was all a joke. He leaned back, arms spread, laughing under his breath. The woman frowned but looked away. No one else seemed to notice. I sank back down, heart hammering so hard it hurt. He waited a moment, watching me like a cat watching a trapped bird. Then he whispered, "I could follow you home. You wouldn't even see me, just footsteps behind you. Closer and closer." "Stop," I said sharply. He chuckled. "You should see your face." I couldn't breathe right. My skin felt too tight. I thought about screaming for the driver, but we were still miles from the next stop. I imagined the bus hurtling down the dark highway while everyone stared at me like I was the crazy one. The man's tone shifted. "You know what the worst way to die on a bus is?" I shook my head instinctively, then hated myself for engaging. "It's not the crash," he said. "It's when someone decides they want you gone and there's nowhere for you to run. You can't go anywhere. You're stuck with them." He licked his lips. "That's the scary part, the being stuck." I wanted to scream. Instead, I slowly slid my phone into my lap and typed a note to myself. "Man harassing me. Seat 27B. Then I opened the bus company's app and clicked the emergency assistance tab. My thumb hovered. He noticed. "Calling for help?" he asked softly. I didn't answer. He reached out and gently pushed my phone screen down with one finger. My stomach lurched. "Bad idea," he said. "People who call for help don't always get the chance to finish." His eyes were flat and cold now. The humor had drained from his face. We were alone in a crowd. I forced myself to look calm, to act calm. If I freaked out, he might lash out. We rode like that for several more minutes, the silence between us electric with menace. Then he said, "Do you want to know what it feels like to not be able to breathe?" Before I could react, he lunged. His hand clamped around my throat. I choked, flailing, slamming my elbow into the wall, my phone tumbling to the floor. The passengers around us jerked upright in shock. Someone screamed. "Hey!" a man shouted, leaping up. The bus swerved hard as the driver caught sight of the struggle in the mirror. "Let her go!" The attacker squeezed harder, his teeth bared, spittle flying as he snarled. She was asking for it. I drove my knee upward as hard as I could. He howled, doubling over. I shoved him away and scrambled into the aisle, gasping, clutching my burning throat. The bus screeched as the driver slammed on the brakes. We lurched forward, passengers tumbling from their seats, baggage spilling. Horns blared from outside. The bus shuddered to a halt on the shoulder. Chaos erupted. People were shouting, scrambling to get away from him. Someone yelled to call 911. The man staggered after me, wild-eyed. "You think this is over?" he bellowed. He lunged, but two men grabbed him from behind, pinning his arms. He thrashed, snarling, spitting, screaming nonsense. "She's mine! She's mine!" while they wrestled him to the floor. The driver was on the radio, shouting for police. I collapsed against the window, shaking uncontrollably, tears blurring my vision. My throat throbbed. My whole body was trembling. Red and blue lights appeared behind us minutes later, washing the bus interior in strobing color. Officers swarmed aboard, ordering everyone to stay seated. The two men holding my attacker released him to the police, who dragged him up by his arms. He spat and screamed the whole way down the aisle, kicking at the seats. As they hauled him off the bus, he turned his head and locked eyes with me one last time. His face split into that same horrible grin. "You'll think about me," he called. "Every time you get on a bus." Then he was gone, swallowed by the flashing lights outside. The air inside was shattered. Everyone was pale and shaken, muttering, hugging themselves. The driver stood in the aisle, wiping sweat from his brow, telling us we could get off and wait by the roadside while they sorted everything out. I couldn't move. My legs felt like rubber. Eventually, an officer crouched beside me, speaking gently, asking questions I could barely answer. They gave me water, offered to call someone, offered to take me to the hospital. But I just shook my head. I just wanted to go home. The bus finished the route after the police cleared the scene. Everyone rode in silence, sitting rigidly upright, eyes flicking toward the empty seat beside me like it was haunted. I kept my bag in my lap, arms wrapped tightly around it, watching the dark blur past outside the window. Every few minutes, I thought I could still smell him. That sour smell. I knew it was just in my head, but still, I kept thinking, he chose me. Out of everyone on that bus, he chose me. I caught the late bus home last Friday night. I've taken that same line 100 times after closing shifts, but this ride was different from the second the doors opened. It was around 11:40 when it pulled up. The headlights were so bright they washed everything out like a camera flash. The bus hissed to a stop with this weird shudder that rattled through the pavement under my shoes. I remember thinking it sounded like it was groaning. The doors snapped open before it had even fully stopped. The driver was hunched forward over the wheel, staring down the road like he was hunting something. His hands were trembling on the rim. I hesitated, then stepped up. He didn't look at me. His jaw was moving, twitching like he was whispering to himself, but no sound came out. There were 6 other passengers scattered through the bus. A pair of college kids sitting together halfway down, a construction worker-looking guy near the front, a woman with earbuds in and a laptop open, and 2 older men toward the back. Everyone had the same look, stiff, quiet, like they were holding their breath. I swiped my card, The beep sounded weirdly loud in the silence, and I went toward the back. My stop was 40 minutes away. As soon as the doors closed, the driver stomped the accelerator so hard the whole bus jolted. Someone yelped. We shot forward. Not just the normal lurch buses do when they leave a stop. It felt like a car peeling out. The tires squealed. People grabbed the seatbacks, bracing. The laptop woman slammed her screen shut and clutched it to her chest. We hit the first corner without slowing. The bus leaned so far I thought it would tip. A backpack flew off a seat and skidded across the aisle. Someone shouted, "Hey, slow down!" The driver didn't respond. He hunched lower, eyes bulging, lips moving fast now, little sharp sounds, too quick to catch. I could feel my heart hammering in my throat. The college guy in front of me stood up, holding the pole. "Sir?" he called. "Hey, you're going too fast." The driver let out this short, sharp bark of sound, like a laugh, but strangled. Then he slammed his fist against the steering wheel and shouted, "Can't stop! Can't stop! Can't stop!" Everyone froze. Then he mashed the accelerator again. The engine screamed. We blew through an intersection. No red lights, no brake. The construction worker guy jumped up and grabbed the strap above him. "Are you out of your mind?" he yelled. The driver's voice rose into a high-pitched rant, words spilling out in a frantic, cracked rhythm. "They're behind me! They're behind me! Can't stop! Can't stop! Can't stop!" The college girl started crying, just quietly, into her hands. The bus fishtailed slightly as we hit a curve. My shoulder slammed the window. The man across the aisle from me stood and reached for the yellow pull cord. He yanked it hard. Nothing. No chime. No light. He yanked again, harder. Still nothing. "It's broken," he whispered. "No," someone else said. "He turned it off." The bus barreled down the empty road, lights strobing past, engine screaming so loud we were all shouting over it now. "Stop the bus! Pull over! Let us off!" The driver howled, a ragged animal noise, and threw his head back laughing. His teeth flashed in the rearview mirror, eyes wild and bloodshot. Then he slammed both feet down on the brakes. The bus screamed like metal tearing. Everyone went flying. Bodies slammed into seats, into each other. My knees cracked against the bar in front of me. Someone hit the floor hard and didn't get up right away. We skidded sideways across the lane, tires shrieking, and stopped dead in the middle of the road. For a moment, there was just the ticking sound of the engine cooling and ragged breathing. The driver twisted in his seat to face us. His face was soaked in sweat, hair plastered to his forehead. His eyes were huge, pupils pinpricks. He grinned at us, this horrible rictus grin that showed all his teeth. "You want off?" he hissed. His voice cracked, hoarse. "Want off? Then jump. Jump and bleed." No one moved. He snapped back around and floored it. We were slammed into our seats as the bus leapt forward. The acceleration was so violent it felt like gravity had shifted. The windows blurred with streaks of streetlights. We were easily doing 70 now, maybe more. The laptop woman screamed, "Call the cops!" Phones lit up everywhere, people fumbling, hands shaking. I yanked mine out, thumbed the lock screen. No signal. 0 bars. "Same," someone else yelled. "No service." "They're jamming us," the driver shrieked suddenly, voice cutting through everything. "They're jamming us! They're jamming us! They're jamming us!" The construction worker guy lunged for the front, grabbing the rail behind the driver. "Pull over! Now!" The driver screamed, a piercing raw sound, and backhanded him across the face without looking. The man stumbled back, blood spraying from his nose. The bus hit a pothole at full speed. We all went airborne for a split second, weightless. Someone slammed into the ceiling and hit the floor hard. People were crying openly now, sobbing and clutching each other. The college guy climbed over seats to reach the side door. He grabbed the red emergency latch and yanked. It didn't budge. He kicked it, punched it, and screamed, "It's stuck! It's fucking stuck!" The driver was laughing. Not words anymore, just raw, hysterical laughter, broken up with choking coughs. We blew through another intersection, horn blaring. A car honked as we missed it by inches. The wind howled through the seams of the bus like we were in a tunnel. I tried to steady my hands and reached for the hammer in the little red box above the window. It was gone. Every single emergency hammer slot was empty. The road ahead was curving, and I could see the guardrail. Beyond it, a drop-off into black nothing. "Brace!" someone screamed. The driver wrenched the wheel at the last second. The whole bus tipped sideways, tires on one side lifting off the ground. We hung there for an endless moment, then slammed back down so hard my teeth clacked together. Someone vomited. The driver was babbling now, guttural, frantic, words slamming into each other. Can't stop, can't stop, can't stop. They'll catch us if you make misstop. We were leaving the city. I recognized the route. Long, straight industrial road, no streetlights, nothing around for miles. Just blackness outside the windows now. The laptop woman crawled up the aisle, dragging herself hand over hand on the poles. She reached the driver's seat and grabbed his arm. "Please," she sobbed. "Please stop, please." He screamed right in her face. Not words, just a sound like an animal dying. Then he shoved her backward into the aisle. Her head cracked against the floor with a sickening sound. She didn't get back up. That broke something in everyone. People surged forward at once. The construction worker guy, the older men, the college kids. They threw themselves at him, clawing for the wheel. The bus swerved violently, tires shrieking. The back end fishtailed and slammed the curb, throwing everyone to one side. I hit the wall so hard I saw stars. The driver was inhumanly strong. He kept the wheel clamped with one arm while lashing out with the other, elbowing, clawing, snapping his teeth like a dog. His mouth was bleeding. One of the college kids screamed, clutching his arm where the driver had bitten him. The windshield was a blur of motion. Road, sky, road again. The speedometer needle was buried. I scrambled to the back door, tried the latch. It was deadlocked. The lights overhead flickered wildly. The bus was groaning, the metal frame whining under the strain. The driver howled, "We'll all get there together." The construction worker managed to jam his elbow against the wheel, twisting it. The bus veered off the road, bouncing over gravel, then back onto asphalt. Sparks shot from underneath as the suspension bottomed out. I knew if we didn't stop him, we were going to die. I forced myself up the aisle. The world was tilting, people slamming around like rag dolls. One of the older men grabbed the driver's hair from behind and yanked. The driver shrieked and finally let go of the wheel with one hand. That was all I needed. I launched myself at the red battery shutoff panel behind the driver's seat. I'd seen mechanics use it before. My fingers slipped on the cover, slick with sweat, then found the latch and tore it open. The bus hit a bump and we went airborne again. I slammed my palm down on the kill switch. Everything died at once. The engine cut. The lights went out. Silence swallowed us except for the screaming of wind and the rattle of loose panels as the bus coasted. The driver shrieked, a raw, guttural sound, and clawed at the dead wheel as if he could will it to turn. We slowed, the massive weight of the bus dragging us down. The tires squealed as we drifted to a stop half sideways across both lanes. Then nothing. Just darkness and panting, ragged breaths all around me. No one moved for a full 10 seconds. Then, people erupted. The college kids wrenched at the doors until they groaned open. Everyone poured out, stumbling, sobbing, clutching each other. Some just dropped to their knees on the asphalt and screamed. The driver stayed slumped in the seat, motionless. His hands were still locked on the wheel, knuckles white, eyes staring straight ahead. His lips were moving silently, fast, like he was still ranting to himself. I stumbled away with the rest, barefoot. I'd lost my shoes somewhere during the chaos. The gravel tore my feet up. We ran half a mile down the road until headlights appeared behind us. A trucker. He stopped, got out, and we swarmed him, all shouting at once, begging him to call 911. When the cops got there 20 minutes later, the bus was gone. Just black skid marks on the road. They thought we were drunk or hysterical until they saw the blood on the floor where the woman had cracked her skull. Until they saw the missing emergency hammers, the twisted poles. They searched for the driver. They never found him. I always took the late bus home after my night shifts. It was quiet, predictable. The hum of the engine, the darkened streets sliding past, the soft overhead lights casting pale halos on the scuffed floor. Most nights, I would be one of only a handful of passengers. By the time we reached the last stop, it was usually just me. It became a routine I didn't even think about until that night. That night, something about the air felt heavier. I couldn't explain why. Maybe it was the silence. There hadn't been the usual shuffle of tired commuters, the whispered phone calls, the occasional cough. Just a couple people at first, but one by one they got off at their stops, leaving me alone on the cracked vinyl seats. I was sitting near the middle, earbuds in but no music playing, just pretending. I like to keep aware of my surroundings that late. The driver was a man I didn't recognize, which was unusual for that route. Most of the night drivers were older guys with kind, worn-out faces. This one looked younger, mid-30s maybe, but with something coiled about him. He had slicked back black hair and a jaw that stayed locked tight, like he was grinding his teeth constantly. He hadn't said a word the entire ride. Not the usual muttered evening or last stop. Nothing. We passed the second to last stop. The sign for my own stop, Ridgeway Terminal, came into view a few minutes later, a single orange streetlight buzzing over an empty bench. My shoulders loosened a bit, almost home. I stood, slung my bag over my shoulder, and moved toward the front. He didn't slow down. "Hey," I said, trying to keep my tone light, like maybe he just hadn't noticed me. "This is my stop." No reaction. His eyes stayed fixed on the road ahead, hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly I could see his knuckles pale even from where I stood. "Sir," I said louder now, "you missed my stop." Nothing, not a blink, not even the twitch of an ear to acknowledge my voice. I turned, looking out the window as the terminal slipped away behind us, shrinking into the darkness. My chest tightened. "Hey!" I shouted this time, stepping closer. "You missed it. Stop the bus." That's when he finally spoke. "Sit down." Just that. 2 words, low and flat. Not a request, an order. I froze. The way he said it, it wasn't angry. It was worse. It was controlled, like someone holding a dog on a short leash, ready to snap. "I need to get off," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He didn't answer. The bus just kept going, engine groaning as it climbed out of town. The streetlights thinned until there were none. The windows showed only the blur of trees and dark fields. My throat went dry. I backed up a step, gripping the metal pole by the front seats. "Where are we going?" He didn't respond. The digital display at the front still read Ridgeway Terminal, last stop, glowing red, but we were long past it now. I pulled my phone from my pocket, but there was no service, just a blank screen where the bars should be. The bus picked up speed. The road had narrowed to 2 lanes, winding into countryside I didn't recognize. No houses, no lights. Just blackness pressing in on all sides. I tried again, louder. "Where are you taking me?" His jaw flexed, and for a second I thought he might say something, but instead he just muttered under his breath. Words too low and quick to catch. I realized with a jolt he wasn't talking to me. He was talking to himself. I sank back into a seat, clutching my phone like a lifeline. My mind was spinning through options. Jump off? At this speed, I'd break my neck. Attack him? He was twice my size, and even if I surprised him, the bus was moving. If he lost control, we'd crash. Minutes bled by. The hum of the engine was the only sound, vibrating through the floor into my shoes. Then, abruptly, he braked. The bus shuddered to a halt so hard I lurched forward. My palms hit the metal bar. We were on a narrow stretch of road with nothing around. No streetlights, no buildings, just dense black woods on both sides. The only illumination was the dim glow of the bus's own headlights stretching out ahead. The driver finally turned to look at me. "Out," he said. I just stared at him. My voice came out cracked. "What?" "Get out of the bus." The air felt razor thin. My heart slammed against my ribs. "This isn't a stop," I said. "There's nothing here." "Out," he repeated, sharper this time. I stayed frozen. Then he reached down beside his seat and came up holding a gun. I stopped breathing. It was small, black, blunt. He didn't point it at me directly, but the message was clear. My legs moved on their own. I stood, walked stiffly down the aisle, and stepped off the bus into the night air. My feet hit gravel. The door hissed shut behind me. The silence outside was suffocating. No insects, no wind, just the soft, cooling tick of the bus engine behind me. The driver climbed down after me. "Walk," he said. He gestured with the gun toward the trees. I shook my head without meaning to, and his eyes flashed, cold, flat eyes, like wet stones. "Walk." My body obeyed. I moved to the side of the road, the beam of the headlights following, stretching my shadow out long and thin across the gravel. The air smelled like wet earth. My sneakers crunched on loose rock. A shallow ditch ran along the edge of the road, choked with weeds and stagnant water. He made me stop there. For the first time, he spoke more than a word or two. His voice was quiet, almost conversational, and that somehow made it worse. "You get to thinking," he said, Driving this late, hours alone, no one watching, you start wondering how easy it would be. My stomach clenched. My voice came out thin. Please, I don't have any money. Not about money, he said. It's about silence, no one around for miles. Just nothing. He raised the gun slightly, not aiming yet, just holding it between us like a decision he hadn't quite made. Terror clawed up my throat. The world had narrowed to the black shape of the gun, the dark trees, his blank face. I could hear my pulse in my ears. And then behind us, faint but growing, headlights, a low hum of an approaching engine on the distant curve of the road. The driver's head snapped up. He turned, squinting into the darkness behind his bus. Twin points of light were rounding the bend far back. Another car. His jaw tightened. He lowered the gun fast, shoving it back down by his side. His voice snapped sharp. Don't move. He strode back to the bus in quick, jerky steps, climbed in, slammed the door. The engine roared to life. Gravel sprayed as the tires spun, and then the bus was pulling away, taillights vanishing into the darkness at insane speed. I stood frozen by the ditch, the smell of diesel exhaust fading. The approaching headlights grew brighter. My legs gave out all at once. I stumbled up from the ditch and waved my arms, half sobbing. The car slowed, a silver sedan. The driver, a middle-aged woman with graying hair, rolled down her window, eyes wide. "Are you okay?" she called. I couldn't answer at first. My throat locked. I just nodded too fast, tears streaking down my face. "Where's your car?" she asked, looking up the road. I was on the bus," I managed to choke out. He dropped me here." Her face tightened. "Get in." I didn't hesitate. I climbed into the passenger seat, clutching my bag to my chest like it could protect me. The warmth of the car heater hit my freezing skin. As soon as the door shut, she was on her phone with one hand, driving with the other. Voice clipped as she told 911 what happened. I just sat there shaking, watching the dark road slide past out the window. It took almost half an hour for us to reach a gas station back in town where the police met us. They took my statement, asked me to describe the driver, the gun, the bus number. I gave them everything I could remember. They promised to check the route logs and security footage, but they didn't find him. The company told the police there were no scheduled buses on that route at that hour. I ride share home from work now. I haven't been on a bus since.